Hey, how's everybody doing? It's Akila. I'm just coming on to do a video. I just feel impressed to get something off my heart, and it has everything to do with the election. So I just want you to listen to what I have to say. And because people have been asking me, I'm a Trump supporter, and people have been asking me, like, why are you voting for Trump? So I want to start this video off by telling you why, just a few things why I'm not voting for Hillary. It's not a lot. I will spend the bulk of this video talking about why I'm voting for Trump. As you all know, when Bill Clinton was in office, he was impeached on 2 accounts. We are very, very familiar with the Monica Lewinsky story. Now, he lied to the Supreme Court under oath. He said he didn't have anything to do with that woman, but we know, in fact, that that wasn't true. I know him and Hillary are 2 different people. Granted, at the same time, someone who can lie under oath to the Supreme Court is not someone I want near the White House. Actually, he could have been ousted out of office if the Senate had reached a 2/3 majority, but they didn't feel, the majority didn't feel that he needed to lose his job because it was more of a moral issue instead of just how he did his job. But the fact of the matter is, he still lied, and he was impeached on 2 accounts, but nobody really talks about that. The reason they don't talk about it is because the media is governed by liberals. Liberals decide what they want us to see, what they want us to hear, and how they want us to think. The other issue that I have is that Bill Clinton was actually responsible or helped to pass the 3 strikes law, which landed more African American men in prison. Okay, so he had a lot to do with passing that law. And someone that could do that, they don't need to be in the White House. I was going to talk a little bit about their foundation, but I decided not to do that because a lot of it is what the media projects. And they said something about their foundation having to redo 4 years of interns just because how money was coming in and how it was being spent. I mean, the speculation is that they receive donations from foreign nations for favors. But I can't say if I believe that or not. It hasn't really been proven. It's just been a lot of hearsay. So now I want to get into why I'm voting for Trump. But before I do that, I want to talk about President Obama being in office. Now, the first time he ran, I voted for him because he was Black. I knew he's educated. I know that he's poised. He has history in politics. I knew all of that too. But my main objective was the fact that he was Black. And that to see a Black man lead this nation would be historical. And, he was married, had a great family. I'm like, why not let him do a great job? I can't complain. Now, the only complaint that I have was his second term when he decided to support same-sex marriage and, some other laws that I didn't agree with. So I couldn't vote for him the second time around. I'm Christian before I'm Black, and that's just how I move. And if anything contradicts the word of God, I'm just not with it. I caught a lot of flack for not voting for him the second time around. I mean, people turned on me, they argued with me, they did everything. But, we all have a choice, and that's what's great about a democracy. At the end of the day, when we look at this nation, more Black men have been killed since President Obama has been in office, believe it or not. I'm not saying it's his fault, but I think that the destruction that we're seeing is a spiritual issue. I think that this nation has turned its back on God. I think that the fact that it's a godless nation, we've taken prayer out of schools, we support a lot of things that oppose the word of God, which is why we're seeing the murders, which is why we're seeing ISIS, which is why we're seeing debt, which is why we're seeing all these things. Yes, we've already had tons of debt before he came into office, but the fact of the matter is, it's at $20 trillion, if I'm not mistaken. Excuse me. But the purpose of this video is to really talk about why I'm voting for Donald Trump. And I want to just set the record straight because people have been asking me. So I just want to make one video. I just want it to be clear. And I had to make notes because I didn't really want to forget anything. So I just want to kind of piggyback off what I've written here. The first thing that I appreciate is that he's not an ordinary politician. He has an idea about immigration policy, returning manufacturing jobs to America, and negotiating better trade deals. The things that he said and talked about, I agree 100% on. You know, the fact with immigration, that's a huge issue. And I'll just give you a little bit of my own personal experience. I worked as an office manager when I was in college, and a lot of the employees were Hispanic. I'm not trying to pick on anyone, I'm just saying. But a lot of them worked under one name, and then they were getting welfare under another name. When I went to Europe 2 years ago, I couldn't just walk into Europe and like, hey, what's up? You know, I'm here. I want to start living, get a job. There is protocol, there is order, that goes on in other countries. America is really one of the only countries that allow you to just come here and do whatever you want to do. There are these systems set up, these operations set up where people can get fake IDs, they can get fake social security cards. They can do all of these things because there is not order in this nation. And basically, I see Trump as one of those people who wants to establish order. When he says, let's make America great again, I don't think he means putting white people back in power. I don't see it that way. What I see him saying is, let's give America back the control and the power that they once had. The other thing that I appreciate about Trump is that he's not reliant on donors. No one can own him or control him, which means he just says and does what he wants. When you have people fitting your bill and they're telling you, I'm giving you this money, so this is what I want you to say, then that's what you'll say. And then people say, oh, he's emotional. He just says what he wants. He goes on these rants and he does this and that. But the fact that he doesn't have a filter lets me know that he's more transparent, right? It lets me know that it cancels the political correctness. Now, when I see Hillary, she's poised. She knows what to say. She knows how to say it. She knows how to get a reaction. She knows how to get a response. But Trump is going to say what Trump is going to say. So basically, he means what he means and he says what he says. He's not the typical Hollywood celebrity or established politician, which means how he feels, what he thinks, what he believes, he's going to put it on the table, and then we decide what to do with it. For obvious reasons, the establishment is against him, and we can see that with the media, the liberal media, the liberals. They control the media, right? They control the media, what we see, what we hear, and how we think the liberals are controlling it. And you can see by every ad that's ran, even when you watch the news, CNN, things like that, how they just rip him apart. But at the end of the day, when you look at his social media followers on Facebook, on Twitter, he has tons more than Hillary. So think about that. And then they say that he's not diplomatic because he reached out to Putin and has a connection with Putin in Russia. Now, the thing about it is our politicians here have called Putin a thug. But at the end of the day, to reach across to Putin, who has a certain amount of control and things that we could be benefited as a nation, is one to consider. And the fact that he already has a connection, who knows what God can do with that. And then we can even talk about his business accomplishments. Now, a lot of the presidents that have been in office are attorneys. They have a law background, which is great. But Trump actually has business accomplishments. We actually would have a president in office who has built something, who has established something. Imagine that, someone who is extremely successful in business, which means he's able to negotiate. A president needs to be able to negotiate, because when they go into those meetings, they don't have advisors there all the time telling them what to say. They have to have those negotiation skills. And having I'm already saying it. And having Trump as president, he would be able to negotiate those deals. He would be able to rebuild. I'm not saying he can do it all in one day, but he would be able to get this nation on track to rebuilding. And I don't know if I said this already, but making America great again is giving our nation back the power it once had. I want to say something about people saying, white people are voting for him because he's white and he's racist and all this stuff. Now, Hillary is white. I think a lot of white people are voting for Trump because they're tired of his policies. And see, this is the thing. They want to try and make it seem like this is a racist nation. That it's a prejudiced nation. That's why we're seeing white cops killing black men, this, that, and the other. But let's think about it. White people are the majority. Let's just be real. White people are the majority. And In order for President Obama to be president 2 terms, the majority of white people had to agree with black people on that. Like, black people couldn't just vote President Obama into office. It took the majority of white people to agree. And even in some huge movements, like, let's go all the way back to Harriet Tubman. When she was on that Underground Railroad, there were white people working with her, hiding her and the slaves to help get her to freedom. So what I'm saying is, we can't say, oh, white against black. We need each other to survive. Now I want to talk about the first family. His wife. A lot of people have Melania, I believe her name is. A lot of people have really, ripped her apart, said something about her speech. I'm not even going to touch that. But what I will touch is that she's poised, she's elegant, she's intelligent, and she's accustomed to being in the spotlight. And she's also an immigrant. And from my research, I also saw that she is very passionate about women's health issues. So I think that would be great as well. And even his children, they say, oh, Trump's been married twice, but he has good relationships with his exes. And look at his kids. His kids always say good things about him. There's nothing that has been said ill, at least I haven't heard, from his children. Now, I want to just stop right here and say this. And I'm not trying to judge. I'm just telling you what I noticed. God allowed me to see it, so I want to share it. At the end of the debate that they had last week, the family came up on stage to congratulate, shake hands, hugs. And Donald Trump's kids came up, his wife, and he hugged them and he, greeted them. And then he went to the crowd to shake hands. Chelsea came up on stage. And Chelsea stood there. She was reaching for her mom. Her mom was busy shaking hands with the crowd, but Chelsea wanted to hug her, say, congratulations, Mom. And she ignored her daughter. She didn't look. She knew her daughter was standing there. She never looked her way. She was busy shaking hands. That says a lot to me about family. Like, what's more important, your job or your family? She could have stopped and gave her daughter a hug. Her daughter's husband was with her. She could have stopped and was like, thanks, babe, and then go back to shaking hands. But I really didn't see her making her family a priority. I saw Trump, when he was done, go straight to his family, hug his family, shake hands with his family, and then he went to the people. That says a lot to me. The other thing about taxes, Trump is willing to take on the hedge fund managers, those big investment accounts, and he's willing to renegotiate the tax rate. A lot of people haven't been willing to touch that. And then I want to talk a little bit about his daughter, Ivanka, because she is also, a married woman in business, and she's an entrepreneur. So I think she would be a great model for women in this nation. And then they talk about that he's anti-women. I disagree with that. I believe that he's pro-women. I believe that the media picks and chooses what they want to share. But I've read articles and I've seen feeds where he's posing with women, congratulating them, promoting women in his business, doing all sorts of things. But those things are not talked about because the media doesn't want you to see that. At the end of the day, he's joked about women. He's joked about men. So we have to just look at what they're showing us and really think about why. So I hope I cleared the air. I just wanted to share that. And I'm Team Trump. Matter of fact, I'm going to a watch meeting where all of the Trump people are going to get together and watch the vice presidential debate. So God bless y'all. Peace.